Hello everyone, and welcome to the next devlog video for my isometric town builder colony simulator. Got quite a bit to show you in this one, so we're gonna jump straight into it in a minute. But first, I'd like to say, if you haven't already, to subscribe and leave a comment with some feedback. I appreciate it a lot. It helps me out a bunch. And I got some big news for this devlog. So, first things first, you might notice the HUD is a little bit different. I've started working on the actual game, in-game HUD. So this little icon in the top right is a build menu. That's right, we have building now. This would be a core mechanic for placing your buildings around. So if we click on this little house, we can see that I can build, or I can or I can't. So if I can't try to place it here, it won't work. If I try and place it here, it won't work. Try and place it here, it won't work. And it actually highlights, like the area. So if we tried to build a house here, it's got the little building progress bar, and then it's done. Now there will be like a actual building animation that will play during this process, but I haven't made one yet, so it's just displaying the actual house. If I look in the nav mesh mode, this little yellow tile indicates the entrance point to the structure. So when I tell, I'm going to be telling these little colonist guys at nighttime to head to the nearest structure. So he will walk to this point if he can reach it, otherwise he'll just sleep where he's sat. I set up a collision map that I can define in the code to specify what gets blocked and what doesn't. You can see the little entrance point is being accounted for in the code. So here's something neat that I've also done. If I place a house here to essentially block off this island, if I try to build in this area, it won't let me because it can't be reached by the colonist, so this fella. We can change it. We can walk it around. We have these little guys now. Eventually this will be a little scrolling window. I haven't finished working on that just yet. There is UI detection, so it stops rendering and detecting when I mouse over the window, which is fine. That's what we want. This build menu will just enable and disable when and where you need it. Something else I've done is resizing, so if I rescale the window, the images will resize, but I've set a limit. So if we look at this top right one, then I shrink it, it gets a little bit smaller. I've limited it to 32 by 32, so it won't get any smaller than that. So yeah, I'm beginning to go all of the juicy UI side of things. Something else, very important. Finally, I have a name for the game. It'll do for now. It'll probably stick, but Dwarvernport. That's what I came up with. It's a name that got thrown around a little bit, and it was the one that I liked the most, since at the end of this, these little guys will be little dwarves walking around. Right now they're just cubes. I'm not really focusing too much on getting them looking like dwarves right now. I want to get the main game mechanic in, so it'll literally probably be yellow cubes against red cubes for a little bit, because I want full customization when it comes to these guys. So yeah, we have the nice build menu, and then you have opposed to the colonists window here. I do have a couple of bugs in the game right now. Namely, frame rate absolutely gets pelted here. You can see. You see it gets absolutely hammered. So that's something that I'm going to need to figure out how to optimize. Because it's doing a check for every single one of these. Like this button. You drop down the tick box. Yeah, I've got a few kinks to work out. Another kink is the actual sorting order. So I've set it up so I can hit F6 to see the entity's sorting number. And I can hit F5 to look at all the tiles, but there's a lot going on there. And there we go. I tried to increment each sorting index across the Y by 1,000. So if I zoom in, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, etc. But it's not quite working as I want. This is 7,000, 75,000 apparently. Yeah, I still got some kinks to work out with it, but once I figure it out, it'll be sorted. I have an idea in mind of how to fix that. Yeah, this poor chap is starving. I reworked how vSyncing works, so if we go into the technical side, I absolutely hate how I've set this function up. I used to check a pathfinding when trying to decide where to place the buildings so that I could correctly update the display, but because of my pathfinding algorithm, calling it every frame isn't exactly a great idea. So there's that. Here I get the nearest entity to the building. That's how we calculate the distance, so it's the shortest. The actual objects for building. We have the house, we have the entity mob for testing. Here I check if it's a valid building space. Just basically run for a bunch of checks. Haven't taken into account how I want to set up things like a port just yet. But all these checks are run when the build function is called, so it checks the ID if it's not an empty object. If we're not mousing over a UI element, we get the hovered tile, we get its X and Y. We get the object, we set it up. Then we check that it is a actual building. If it's not a valid space, we delete it from memory and we remove the memory pointer. We return false. That's a nice little cleanup function that we have. To be honest, I could maybe clean this up somewhere because I'm calling this twice, but it'll be fine for now. Building entity, update tile blocking, and then begin the build process and reset our current selected object. What is update tile blocking? Basically, we tell the world, hey, this is where we want to put this this building. So look at the designated collision map and block all of those tiles. Begin build starts the build process. So we set the timer to false. We get completed to false. We start playing the audio. And then I call me build started callback. The build process has a global building update function. This will handle the actual progress bar that we saw, whether or not the building is in use. Let's take a look. Here we render the occupied tiles. So this is the actual display of the green and red space. If I come up into the render function, we can see if it's not active, if the builder isn't active, we don't do anything. If there's no object selected, we don't do anything. If we're mousing over a UI element, don't do anything. Otherwise, if the building visual is a actual building, we get the point, we get the tile, we get the X, the Y, the chunk X and Y, because I need that for the calculations. We render the occupied tile display, and then we render the building visual on top. What is the building visual? Here, it's literally nothing. In the parent class, it does nothing. But if I look in the entity shelter function, the class, it works exactly like the regular rendering, except it has a transparency of 128, so it's only at half transparency. This was a new function I had to write in my render utility. Pretty straightforward. Just enable blending, apply an alpha mod, render it, set it back to fully opaque, and remove the blending. Pretty straightforward. I'll probably apply this to the buttons on the UI, unless you're mousing over them. But then here we have where we update the building stuff. So this is the building code. If the building isn't built, it won't execute anything beyond this point. And then we can put the actual functionality beyond this, because it's like, hey, it's built, we can do stuff now. Here I can go if not is built, refuse entry, and then there we go. What are these shutters? They have occupancy set up, so a entity could walk up to it and they can enter the building, and then they can leave the building. It's only really for colonists. The colonists are dwarves. Yeah, that's what I have so far. If you might notice in the thumbnail, we do have the game's title logo for now. From this video forward, it will be the Dwarvernport Devlogs instead of an unnamed isometric game. I'll go and update the names for the rest of the videos. And yeah, that just about covers everything, I think. I mean, here's the collision map for the shelter. Because it's being rendered a little lopsided, I had to change it. I will fix this eventually, because it's messing around with the sorting. But that is a problem for another day. So, I'd like to thank you all for watching. Again, subscribe, it really helps me out a lot. Leave some comment with some feedback. And yeah, I hope you all enjoyed.